What if the feeling of being you never actually ends? Imagine your thoughts, your awareness, your very essence, just continuing on, even after your body is gone. Not in a spooky ghost way, but more like energy. We know from physics that energy can't be created or destroyed, only transformed. What if our consciousness is a form of energy? A unique, personal frequency that, when it leaves our physical shell, simply changes its state, flowing into something new, something different, perhaps even something we can't yet comprehend. It's a mind-bending idea, right? The thought that this inner voice, this sense of self you're experiencing right now, might be part of an eternal cosmic dance. So, let's dive into this rabbit hole together. What would that even look like? One popular theory is that consciousness could merge back into a universal consciousness, like a single drop of water returning to the ocean. All your experiences, your joys, your sorrows, your love, all of it wouldn't be lost. Instead, it would add to this vast, collective pool of existence. In this scenario, you're not just you anymore. You're part of everything. It's a beautiful, poetic concept, suggesting a profound interconnectedness between all living things, past, present, and future. Your individual perspective enriches the whole. Think of it like a cosmic library where every life is a book, and after you've read it, it goes back on the shelf, contributing to the total knowledge of the universe. But what if it's not about merging? What if your individual consciousness remains intact? This leads us to ideas like reincarnation. Not necessarily coming back as another person or an animal right away, but the idea that your specific spark of awareness gets another go. Maybe it's on a different planet, in a different dimension, or in a form we can't even imagine. Quantum physics is starting to flirt with these ideas. The observer effect, for example, shows that the act of observing a particle actually changes its state. It suggests that consciousness might be a fundamental property of the universe, not just a byproduct of our brains. If that's the case, then who's to say it's tied to this one specific biological machine? Maybe our brains are more like radios, tuning into a signal of consciousness that's already out there, and death is just the radio breaking. The signal itself continues broadcasting. Let's explore that a bit more. If consciousness is a signal, then what happens when we die? Perhaps we just tune into a different frequency. This opens up a whole world of possibilities. You could experience realities completely different from this one. Imagine a reality not bound by time and space as we know it, where you could experience the past, present, and future all at once. Or a reality where thoughts instantly create your surroundings. It sounds like science fiction, but if consciousness is fundamental, these aren't just fantasy, they're potential destinations. Some neuroscientists and philosophers are seriously considering this. They're looking at near-death experiences, where people report incredibly vivid, structured journeys while their brains show little to no activity. These accounts from all over the world share striking similarities: a tunnel of light, meeting beings of light, a life review. Are these just the final flickers of a dying brain, or are they a glimpse of what lies beyond? And here's where it gets even weirder. What if you've already done this countless times before? The concept of eternal recurrence suggests that you will live this exact same life over and over again for eternity. Every choice, every mistake, every moment of happiness, repeated infinitely. It's a heavy thought, but it forces you to ask, am I living a life I'd be willing to repeat forever? It changes how you look at every single moment, giving each decision an eternal weight. It's not about escaping to a better place, but about making this place, this life, the one you'd want to live again and again. It shifts the focus from what comes after to what you do right now. Now, let's flip the script. What if consciousness doesn't just go somewhere else, but it actually creates the reality we experience? This is the idea of biocentrism proposed by scientist Robert Lanza. It suggests that life and consciousness create the universe, not the other way around. Space and time are not objects or things, but rather tools of our mind. When we die, we don't cease to exist in some absolute reality. We just cease to exist within the time-space logic our consciousness created. According to this view, death is an illusion. Your consciousness could simply pop up in another universe, in a multiverse of infinite possibilities. So, in one universe, your story ends, but in countless others, it's just beginning, or it's taking a completely different path. There's always a you experiencing something, somewhere. This isn't just wishful thinking. Scientists are searching for evidence. They're looking for quantum effects in the brain, trying to pinpoint where consciousness might come from. They're studying the nature of information and whether it can truly be destroyed. The holographic principle, for instance, suggests that all the information contained in a volume of space can be represented by a theory on the boundary of that region, like a hologram. Could our three-dimensional reality be a projection from a two-dimensional surface where our consciousness is encoded? If so, the physical body's death wouldn't destroy that information. It's still there, on the surface. It's a mind-blowing concept that blurs the line between physics, information theory, and spirituality. So, what does this all mean for us, right here, right now? Believing that consciousness might persist after death can fundamentally change how we live. It can reduce the fear of dying, which for many people is a source of great anxiety. If this isn't the end, but just a transition, it reframes our entire existence. It could make us more compassionate, more daring, and more focused on growth and learning, because these might be the only things we take with us. It encourages us to see ourselves not as fragile, temporary beings, but as eternal explorers on an incredible journey. Every person you meet, every challenge you face, becomes part of a much larger, more meaningful story. Of course, we don't have definitive proof. These are theories, philosophical ponderings, and scientific hypotheses on the cutting edge of our understanding. But the lack of proof doesn't make the question any less powerful. The exploration itself is valuable. It pushes the boundaries of science, philosophy, and our own self-perception. It forces us to confront the biggest mysteries of all. What are we? Why are we here? And where are we going? The possibility that consciousness never dies isn't just a comforting thought. It's an invitation. An invitation to live more fully, to love more deeply, and to look at the universe with a sense of wonder and awe. Because you might just be a part of it that gets to experience itself forever. What do you think? Is consciousness a fleeting trick of biology, or is it an immortal spark in the vastness of the cosmos? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I read every single one. And if you're fascinated by these big questions about life, the universe, and everything in between, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next journey into the unknown. Thanks for watching.